2026 is going to be an awesome year. We got some pretty cool stuff coming up. First off, we got Foundations of Recovery. This is our flagship program. We're starting it in January.
This is for anyone, man, woman, or couple who wants to come and reclaim their heart from shame, trauma, and betrayal. We start off with an education on all sorts of principles, give you the common language. We feed you from a fire hose in terms of all things recovery.
It is such a great start to recovery. And we get at the roots of things, Tyler. This isn't like any other program. Like, this is our healing journey in process, and Foundations is where we begin.
If you look at the value that you're getting there to kick off a good recovery with all of the right education, all of the right language, and a team to get you started while also being directed by Brannon and myself through the whole process, what a deal.
So if you're interested, if you're struggling, if you've been wanting to do something for a long time, jump into this. This only comes around every so often, and we would love to have you there.
Click the link in the description to sign up for it. And to make it even sweeter, we're also including a raffle for a free pass to the Radiant Dawn retreat. Anyone who signs up for Foundations will be added to the raffle for that free Radiant Dawn pass. If you're a man and you sign up for Foundations, your name still gets entered, and you can give that pass away if you win it to any woman that you want to.
So what you're saying, Tyler, is if you sign up and participate in Foundations, you could possibly go to Radiant Dawn for free?
That's exactly what I'm saying, which is crazy because Foundations by itself is already an insane value.
Man, I sound so salesy. But it actually is awesome. So come to Foundations. And even if you don't come to Foundations, sign up for Radiant Dawn. It's beyond therapy, the best healing experiences that you can have.
Click the link below and come join us.
What are the 4 biggest problems for relationships?
Welcome to the Therapy Brothers podcast.
I'm Brannon.
I'm Tyler.
We're brothers.
We're therapists.
And we know recovery.
Bring your stories, your questions, your successes with real recovery.
Hey, Tyler, you ready to have some hard conversations?
Let's do it.
Let the Therapy Brothers podcast begin.
Brannon, how's it going, man?
Dude, it's going good. You seem a little, contemplative and down today. What's going on?
It's like, I don't know, man. I'm like, for some reason, like low energy. I had this thing. I went to this community activity I think it was like on a Friday, and it was like, it's called Bonded Brotherhood. It's some new nonprofit that's kind of trying to get started up here in our community. And it was just like an activity for any man who wanted to show up. And we went out to this place, Brent. It was the craziest thing. Went out to this place in the middle of nowhere, like way out in the country. It's like pure flat farm fields. And you go down this like little driveway, and all of a sudden it opens up, and there's this like little gully that has a pond and a big pavilion and a big grass area and a volleyball pit. And inside the pond, it's like, have you ever seen Hook?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, imagine going to Neverland. Like, it's like, it's got like high dive, big, massive, like self-built high dive, big rings going across, like big, like barges where you can play like King of the Mountain on it and stuff. And it basically was a bunch of grown men trying to be little boys again. And I think I may have like cracked a rib or something. So that's probably what you're getting from me. I'm just like so sore today. Like my old man body with my 65-year-old hips didn't go too well in the day after with that activity. So I'm probably just exhausted. My body probably just looks pretty beat up right now.
It sounds like a lot of fun though.
Oh, it was a blast.
Yeah.
We had a great time. Yeah.
Yeah. I could imagine you going off a rope. I've seen you go off a rope swing. You have great form. One of the best forms I've ever seen someone go off a rope swing, Tyler.
No, the best form, and they'll know who they are, is Art from like 3 years ago in the retreat.
I thought it was Nate.
So anyway, speaking of which, we got the retreat coming up, man. Let's get a couple more people come join us.
Yeah, we need more people on that rope swing. Come out with us.
Yeah.
It's good times.
It is a good time.
Absolutely. So anyways, Tyler, should we dive into this topic?
let's get going on this.
We sit down to talk about our topics or what we want to get into. And it was interesting how quickly we were able to flush these out. It wasn't hard for us, right, Tyler?
No, like what are the biggest problems you see as therapists in relationships? And
Yeah.
you were like, oh well, this, and I was like, well that. When you're like this, and I was like that, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah,
those are all.
those four. Yeah,
those-
pretty much. Not to say that there's not other problems
There's plenty
and
more.
things and issues.
Yeah.
But these four are big ones. And I think to some degree most couples struggle with these four to to some level. So where do we want to start, Tyler?
Yeah, well, let's just kind of go through them. We'll just talk about each one of them briefly, and maybe even give a suggestion on where to start in terms of if you relate to these things, how to maybe start turning the tables and changing your path. So,
Yep.
so number one, Brannon, and we talk about this a lot. This is a word that a lot of people don't like to use anymore, but we can explain it a little bit as to why we put it in here. But the first one is codependency.
Yeah. Um, it's so it's like an epidemic in relationships. It's so common. Not all relationships that struggle have codependency because there's some relationships that lack connection. Um, but in a nutshell, it's over attachment to your partner, where you're consuming them or using them for something, for your self worth. And so when you think of codependency, it manifests itself in little situations. If your partner has a different opinion than you, like how do I handle that? I don't want to, if they have a bad day and then you can't be okay because they had a bad day. So you're way too overattached. You're not differentiated very well or healthily. And so that creates all kinds of issues as a result.
Yeah, I think we should probably explain what differentiation is, because a lot of people listening aren't probably going to understand what you mean by that.
Yeah, I mean we could dive into all different kinds of topics off of codependency, right? So like
Yeah.
a codependent relationship lacks healthy boundaries. So you don't know where they stop and you begin. And so that's what differentiation is I'm a different person than you. We're different. And in our relationship as it progresses, can we empower and just honor that we are different versus a codependent relationship, which has a very hard time doing that.
I think it's a really common thing, Brannon. Like most people would relate to this on some level that, there's two parts of us. There's this need for individuality, the need to be our own individual, and then there's this need for connection. And most of us are so driven towards wanting connection that if it comes down to it in a given moment, we tend to sacrifice our individuality in order to try to maintain and keep the connection. And
Yeah.
when we do that, we lose our authenticity, we lose our values, we lose our identity. And eventually we're chasing a relationship where somebody else constantly has to make us feel like we're enough because we haven't been able to stand and maintain our own shape in terms of our own authenticity.
It's like the ultimate shoot yourself in the foot. It's the more I try to preserve the relationship and the more I try to get my worth from that person and want them to like me and perform for them and all these things, the more resentment I build, the more I damage the relationship, and the more it creates a lack of safety and trust in the relationship. So ultimately, it destroys the relationship where because I'm way overvaluing the relationship.
Right. And at the expense and sacrifice of myself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, if you're to dive into codependency, like why is somebody codependent or what do they need to work on? I think, that comes down to the things that we talk about all the time. You got to look at your trauma. You got to look at your attachment. What's the void that you're trying to fill because through your relationship? And there's a reason why you're showing up codependent, and it's not because of your partner. It's because of your own fear and your own trauma.
And beliefs about self and who you are go into that too. And that ties all the way into that trauma tree idea that we've talked about in past episodes.
Right. For me to know where I stop and you begin, I need to be grounded and clear about who I am, independent of you. And when I am that, then I can absolutely love you because I have those healthy boundaries, and I can be an interdependent person.
And I know what I'm offering you at that point too.
Yeah, we could go on and on about codependency, Tyler.
Yeah, I think this one is like sometimes in both partners, you get two people coming together who are actually codependent. And now they're having this interaction that is based completely in like shame,
Mm-hmm.
where one person's like withholding because they're afraid that their partner's going to reject them. And then in the withholding, the other partner's going like, oh no, they don't love me. And then there's two codependent people trying to get their answer from each other when there's no answer to give from either place.
Exactly. And it's like you can't um you can't draw it from your partner. It's like I want to get it from you, and yeah, they're trying to do the same, and it just creates, I mean, in the end it just creates a lot of problems in a relationship. So I would say the other four or the other three that we have, Tyler, you could say,
They somewhat tie into this
yeah,
sometimes.
they're like acts of codependency.
Yeah, I think if you look at across everything else we're going to say here, a lot of times underneath or attached to every single one of these that we're going to go through, at the core of it is shame and trauma as well.
Yes.
So
This comment here alludes to being taught that we're complete when we have a partner, and I think, Tyler, there's this belief out there of like, I need somebody in order to be whole, in order to be me, right?
yeah,
And I think we're all wired for attachment. We're, relationships are important to us. That's all fine and dandy. But I think that belief goes too far. Where, this whole "you complete me" thing, or I need you, or to be okay. The fact of the matter is, a healthy relationship is where I don't need you to be okay, for me to be okay. And if you were to divorce me or die or leave me or whatever, that would hurt, that would be hard, but I'm strong and I can move forward and I can be me still, independent of you.
yeah, right. It's an interesting dialectic. That's what this comment over here is talking about. And we've been taught this in lots of ways. I don't think it's sometimes religious culture. It's also our society. It's also every Disney princess movie. Um, we are wired for attachment connection. It is one of our needs, and yet the way that we've been taught to go about getting it is in a consumptive, I take it from you kind of a way, rather than I know who I am, and now we're going to up both of our games by being with one another.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Um, okay. So yeah, this is all based, like you said, Tyler, this is all based in shame. And the shame comes from the trauma. And so some of these other ones, same thing. These are just acts of protection, or there's fear there, and they lead to these behaviors. So do you want to bring up the next one?
Sure. Let's go with the next one. The next one is one that we deal with is probably the thing that brings people into our office a lot, and it's dishonesty. It's flat out just dishonesty. There's been a breach of trust in the relationship, whether that dishonesty comes through, withholding information or flat out lying. It's a lack of integrity and showing up as you are.
Honesty is like not fully understood. Oftentimes it's felt. So, if I'm like, hey, Tyler, did you do that bad thing? And you're like, no, I didn't. This happens with my kids all the time. It's crazy how like something can break, and it's like, hey, who did that? Not me, not me. So like, oh, a ghost did. Oh, like nobody did it. Interesting.
I had this happen just this weekend. I was getting ready to go out with my daughter and a boyfriend. We're going to go out and do some fishing. And she was like upstairs getting herself ready or dressed. And we had like in the laundry room, there's this thing of sunscreen. And you never spray sunscreen in the house, right? But I just walked through the laundry room and I grabbed it and I like puffed a little on my face. And like, then I go out and I get the truck loaded up and everything. And my daughter comes down the stairs, and she's like, "Hey, did you spray sunscreen in the house?" I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like,
you turned into my 14-year-old kid.
I totally like gaslit my daughter. Like, what are you talking about? Like no, like right here. I'm standing in the kitchen. I'm like, no, like, look, there's nothing in
Yeah,
nothing
not
here.
right here. I was in the laundry room, but I'm
She's like, but Dad, I smell it. I know that there's sunscreen. You sprayed it in the house. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's in the laundry room. The laundry room doesn't count. Just like pure dishonesty, right? Like just pure gaslighting.
Yeah.
I was just messing around with her.
Yeah. I think all discord in relationship comes from dishonesty. And dishonesty can be so subtle and automatic. It can be little forms of denial, little tiny manipulations away from taking accountability. And so when I say it's felt more than it's like seen, sometimes it's so obvious, like you're lying to my face. Yes. But then sometimes it's just like, man, like if you could just like say like, oh yeah, I messed up, I'm sorry. Or I totally like, let's use your sunscreen analogy. Did you spray sunscreen in the house? Yeah, actually I did. You shouldn't do that. Okay.
I know.
I know. Thank you. Like, yeah, I own that. Right. I can see that.
Right.
But instead, as humans, we're so scared of abandonment or rejection that we think, oh, well, I don't want to be seen. Like these exile parts are like kicking off all these protectors that are like, I don't want to be seen. So like, just minimize that a little bit, or omit that little part, or justify that in your head of like, well, I sprayed sunscreen in the house, but not here, not in the kitchen. So I can tell you, no, I didn't spray it here. Right. Do you see the little trick that you're using there?
Oh yeah. Total dishonesty, but trying to make sure that I still maintain some kind of a facade. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if go ahead.
Go ahead, Brannon.
I was just going to say, if one or both partners could just be like, yeah, like that's true. Or, yeah, I did that. Yes, I can own that. Or let me tell you something honest, and just open up. Then you know your partner. Then you can actually have trust and safety in a relationship.
Right. I wonder how many people, are listening to us right now that would relate to this, but how many of you guys have told yourselves something like this in order to not have to disclose something like, oh, I'm actually doing them a favor by not telling them that because I don't want to make them upset. Or, what they don't know won't hurt them. Or the biggest one is, it's really not that big of a deal, so I probably don't need to say anything. And then just ask this next question, which is, okay, so if it's not that big of a deal, then you shouldn't have a problem saying it.
Yeah.
And whatever just went on inside your body right now will tell you if you're actually being real and being honest about that.
Right. Yes. You check in with your body. I love that, Tyler. It's our dishonesty is so unconscious and automatic. And it's just an automatic protection that we have. And I would say the level of dishonesty, and this is so obvious. What I'm going to say right now, the level of dishonesty directly correlates with your safety or lack thereof in a relationship.
Or your perceived safety. That would go to the shame or the ego, all of that too.
Yeah. The more dishonest, the less trust, the less safety. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But the dishonesty is there for a reason, and it comes back to what we talked about earlier, right?
Shame, trauma.
Yep.
Self-protection.
It's all the same stuff. Self-protection. Yep. Okay. Should we go to the next one?
Yeah. What's the next one, Brannon?
This one, we've actually had a few guests on the podcast recently with this one, and
we actually had a really good podcast on this next one. That a lot of people have given a lot of feedback on. I think it was 454 is what it was.
Yeah, it's a lack of empathy, or just connection, but empathy on an connection on an emotional level, right?
Yep. I see this all the time, Brannon. I'm sure you run into it too, where people come in and they're like, hey, we need help with some communication skills. And then they get talking about something, and it doesn't really matter what the content is, but they get into this pattern, and the pattern becomes, I want to talk, you listen, and then I want to talk and you listen. Right. But then what it ends up happening is I want to talk, and then the next person wants to talk, and neither person shows that they're listening. And then it's just like, I haven't been heard. Well, I haven't been heard. Well, I haven't been heard. And now we're in total disconnection. And if we could learn to actually hear somebody, not only hear them, but connect to what they're saying emotionally, and then help them see that we're connected to them, that step, it's like lubrication for the rest of the communication and the system, right?
That's great, Tyler. But here's my struggle or frustration. Like having done this for years, that would be wonderful. But a couple comes in, and if one of the other partners like just has actually worked or learned a lot or worked really hard to not empathize, trying to teach them to do that is like so hard. Like I'm thinking of like my nephew. He's he's like, I think he's like 5 or 6 or something. And they just signed him up for football. So it was his first football practice yesterday. And I was talking to his dad, and I was like, well, how does that go? Like these kids' very first football practice, like, what do they even do? And he's like, oh, yeah. Like, yeah, dads are just there, like, hey, move here and do this. And, like, you have to, like, do this. And they're looking at their dads like, huh? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's how it feels with empathy a lot with our clients, doesn't it, Tyler?
100%. It's 100%.
Like
it's
they don't even know where to begin.
Well, yeah, and I think the reason why is because of that. We're all of us are so kind of like egocentric. The world revolves around us, the universe revolves around us. That it's empathy is a skill that takes the awareness of taking ourselves out of the center of the universe while still being connected to what's going on inside of ourselves at the same time. And that's a difficult skill to learn, and it feels weird because in the moment that we're having the discussion, we're feeling like we need to protect ourselves. We feel like we need to be understood. We feel like we need to be heard. And what we're missing is that the best chance that we actually have of receiving that is by also learning to offer it.
Yeah.
Like it's like what mom used to always say, seek first to understand and then be understood. That's a hard skill set. It's not natural to the world that we live in.
Well, what's natural is to protect ourselves from getting hurt. And so empathy requires vulnerability. It requires sitting in pain, being able to just be with somebody and be present. And so it's really, empathy to me is synonymous with love. I'm here for you. I love you. I see you. I'll hold space for you. And so love is vulnerable. And so how do you teach love? And when there's all this shame and all this, and the dishonesty totally undermines an ability to actually empathize, because you don't want to get closer to somebody on an empathetic level if you got a bunch of secrets going on.
You can't trust it. Yep.
It's too scary.
That's exactly right. Empathy is it's a vulnerable process for both partners. There's the sharing, and then there's the actual receiving. And with empathy, you receive it with an open heart, with an offering of your presence. So you have to allow yourself to go to the same emotional space without making it about you.
Yeah.
With whoever it is that's talking with you or that you're interacting with. And that's really difficult.
Well, it's interesting, Tyler, the episode you referenced, and listening to that, it's interesting because, as he was kind of like trying to empathize, what was his, I don't know if you've listened to it, but what was his like go-to?
His go-to was to go back into beating himself up, kind of like, instead of her saying, like, she's saying, I just need you to see me. I just need you to see how hard this has been for me and how much I don't trust you. And instead of him going like, oh, wow, like, yeah, that feeling of not being able to trust is, he went into like, I'm so sorry that I've hurt you. I've done everything wrong. Da 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 da. Right? He was still in like his own kind of self-protective thing, rather than, oh, I am here for you and I don't have to fix it. I don't have to like come up with a solution. I need to actually just offer my presence, my heart, my energy, myself is here witnessing you.
Right.
Right.
Right. It's interesting because if you like listen to him, it seems like he was doing the right things. Like, well, I'm so sorry. Yes, I did this and I'm bad and I did that and I blah 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 blah. You know, and it was like like you could feel the self-preservation going on. You can feel it. So
Yeah.
even though he said, I'm so sorry and I'm bad and I'm this and I'm, it's like, no, just stop. You could just stop and say, hey, tell me more. Or like, what do you mean by that? Or help me understand this. You said that. What does that mean to you when you said that? Like, so it's just like, let me stop and care about you and not care about me right now. That's simply what empathy is.
Yeah, which again, that breaks down if I'm in self-preservation mode because fear and shame are in the driver's seat.
And that can look like being a jerk. That can look like
Disappearing.
or fixing or trying to figure out how to say all the right things. So even if you're trying to say all the right things, you're not empathizing because you're still protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and
Something,
you know,
yeah,
go
go ahead.
ahead, please.
I was just going to say something that seems to help with that when you start really trying to work on this is again, I'm pretty big on the somatic stuff, but noticing what's in the driver's seat when you're trying to give a response. And if you notice that feeling like that heaviness in your head, the tightness in, the burden in your shoulders, the tightness in your chest, notice that and imagine grabbing it and holding it and saying, I'm going to get to you later, but then putting your attention back onto the other person. So you're actually like still going to take care of all of that shame, all that fear, whatever else is coming up, but you're going to breathe through that. And then you're going to give your presence back to the place, the person that you're interacting with.
I love that you keep bringing this up, Tyler, because for these four problems we're talking about, and most problems in a relationship, if you can learn how to be curious with yourself and self-reflective, then you can actually learn how to not automatically show up in these ways. And a great way to start to tap into that curiosity is through your body. Just like, I just got that like lump in my throat that happens when my spouse gets mad at me. There it is. Interesting. And usually when I get that lump, I start to protect. And this is how I normally protect. I do this, or I get sarcastic, or I fight back, or whatever it is. And do you see how, like, when I know myself, I can actually then start to choose how I want to show up versus the default mode that just I jump into
Yeah.
dishonesty, protecting, so I'm not empathizing, over attaching, all of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I can acknowledge that I'm having that experience. Oh, there's my shame.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I'm going to
interesting.
need to deal with my shame in a minute, but right now, my shame can't be in the driver's seat with this conversation, or else it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Just I'm thinking just last night I had an interaction with my wife and I did this. I won't get into the specifics of it. But she came at me pretty good and I noticed it. I got curious. I stopped and then afterwards she's like, I don't know how to respond to the way you just reacted to that. And I'm like, well, she's like, you just like we just got a good solution to this issue. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I was thinking like, yeah, we could have gotten a big fight and just hash this out for 3 days, or we could just like figure this thing out. But the only reason that happened, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, I fail plenty at this. Um, but the only reason that happened was in that moment, exactly what you're talking about, Tyler. I noticed like, oh, there it is. Like, okay, what do I
Yeah.
want to do with this? Where do I go?
I feel it, man. I feel my face flush. I feel my jaw clench. I feel my shoulders start to hunch, and I feel this pit in my stomach. And if I catch those, the first thing I think of is don't say anything until you figure out where to put this.
You know what's interesting, Tyler? The jaw clench for you, as a person who's interacted with you a lot. I can notice that. Like I'll see your jaw when it gets serious or intense, or I'll see
Yeah,
that jaw
yeah.
clench come, and it's like, oh.
It's like, uh-oh, here it comes.
And that's the thing is we think we can like hide it and like no, when we're like reacting those ways, like people can sense it, feel it, know it.
I can't tell you how many times we've been like driving somewhere and some conversation comes up and it gets tense and then it kind of like goes kind of silent or whatever. And my wife's like, "You're mad." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like, no, I'm not. Like, and
I'm not mad at all.
she's like, "I know you are because your jaw's clenched." I'm like, "Oh, dang. Like, my dang jaw always gives me away."
I'm trying to be dishonest about how mad I am.
No, I'm
Dang
not. I'm totally fine. But you know what? That's actually kind of a gift too, because sometimes she'll key in on it before I do, and then she'll point it out and be like, "Hey, you're upset right now." I'm like, "No, I'm not." Like, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I am actually."
Yeah,
You
what's going
know?
on?
Yeah. So it's like it's both a blessing and a curse.
Love it. Um, should we dive into this last one?
Yeah. Last one.
The last one is playing the victim. So do you want to explain that, Tyler?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I heard a quote a long time ago. You've said this on the podcast before, but I read it and it said the the largest addiction in the world is playing the victim.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And there's something that feels almost like we're trying to find pieces of justice. We're trying to absolve ourselves of responsibility and accountability, and we kind of like making sure that somebody else is over the barrel, like that we can have some way to extract some kind of justice or something. And so a lot of times we're looking for ways that we can be the victim. And then when you get two people playing that game, it's a race to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, you did this to me, so da 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 da. Therefore, I'm justified in this. And then the other person's like, yeah, but you did that to me, and so there I'm justified in this. And pretty soon, there's two people who are trying to put themselves underneath the other person as a form of trying to maintain power, which is weird. But
It's
that's
such
the
a
way that it works.
it's such a like messed up thing because the whole thing about victim is power, is trying to get power by giving up your power. Like think about it. Like that's really like well, I'm trying to get you to feel sorry for me or give me what I want or this or that. So what I'm going to do is instead of own who I am and what's in my control and what's not, I'm going to pout until I get what I want from you. Um which doesn't work.
It's a way of trying to get needs met. That's the truth, and we all do it, and we've all learned it. I mean, I watched like my little. I had my little niece and nephew over to the house not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, and they were playing with each other, and something came up, and like there was one toy that ended up the my nephew ended up with the toy first, and he was playing with it, and she walked over and tried to take it from him, and he wouldn't let her have it. She's like, "I want to play with it," and he's like, "No, I'm going to play with it right now," and she goes, "Hmm," and then she goes over just to where she's still in sight of him, but way off in the corner, and then she puts her head down and was like just like waiting, like just waiting for him to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can come play with this." Da 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 da. Like just like she's learned that at a young age that she's going to get her needs met by playing the victim. We all do that. It's a human thing that we do.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is exactly what you said is that it actually we then try to get people to do for us what we can and should do for ourselves. I know we don't say should very often here, but now we're dependent on the world to make us happy and fix our problems all the time. Instead of working from the inside out, we're now living a life that is outside in, and we're going to be chasing that and be a victim to whatever comes our way and never actually be able to find that sense of like peace and groundedness and self-confidence because we're looking for it from an outside source.
You're powerless. I like what you're saying. We give our power away to other things in order for us to be okay. And we think we're doing it to get power. I think of here's the interesting part, Tyler. Like I think of my son, where it's like, hey, will you pick that up? Like that's your chore. Will you clean that up? Well, so and so didn't have to do that when that was their chore.
Yeah.
And so I'm
So
like,
it's
well,
not fair now. You're
yeah,
being
yeah,
mean to him.
yeah. Now I'm being really mean, right? So you know what I say to that, which is probably not the best parenting.
I don't know what.
I don't care. Pick it up. And so then what happens is he hunkers in. He's like, no, I don't have to. And I said, well, if you want to go play with your friends, all you have to do is pick that up. It would literally take him like 2 minutes, like literally 2 minutes. He spends all day in the house, not being able to hang out with his friends, not being able to do much because he's refusing to pick that thing up. Now,
And it's your fault.
and it's just all my fault. Now,
Yeah.
now I'm not saying he should just go pick it up because he might on a deep level have a value or integrity inside of him that's saying like this doesn't work for me to pick that up. But he goes to the victim and he loses that, so he's shooting himself in the foot. He could come back to me and say, hey dad, I need to talk to you about this. Like this is really important to me and this is why. And I realize he's a kid, so he's not going to do this. But he could come do that, and that's in his control to actually, like person to person sit down and talk about this. Or he could just take 2 minutes and pick it up, right? Like there's certain things in his control. He gives his power away, and then he gets the consequences of giving his power away, right?
But yeah, but he also gets the payoff of not having to take ownership because it wasn't fair or right. So
Right. And
he
that's
gets
what he's going
he
for.
gets the payoff of justification, and justification sometimes feels really good.
I know, but to what end?
Well, that's the point. And I think, Brannon, this is an important thing to bring up with this is that when you look at relationships, most people want to be in a relationship that's based on connection. And connection is why we get into relationships in the first place. But sometimes, either through inside means or codependency or maybe external things, distrust, whatever else, the relationship doesn't feel safe enough to have the right kinds of vulnerable connection. And so people settle for a power and control based relationship instead.
Come rescue me.
So I'm trying to extract connection, but I have to do it through a non vulnerable power and control based way. And once you've gone to power and control, you're already on the pathway to not getting what you want ultimately in the relationship.
Yep. Yep.
It becomes this wrangle to try to extract something that isn't going to be there when power and control is the forefront of the relationship.
Yep. Yep. That's it. I the opposite of victim to me is accountability and responsibility.
Yeah.
And those words I bring them up quite a bit, but
It's power too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's weird. We're talking
I
about
have
power and
my
control in
power.
relationships, but we're talking about a different kind of power when it's like I keep my internal sense of self, my power.
Yeah, inside of me. And so
Right.
I'm not throwing it out there to them so that they'll come rescue me so then I feel okay. And we play the victim in all kinds of ways. Things like the silent treatment, moping, shutting down, just acting weak and powerless are ways that we play the victim, and a lot of people do it. So, like you say, it's the biggest addiction in the world. So, and you can see it on big levels too, as well. You can see it in politics for sure. You can see it in sports. You can see it all over the place. So, Tyler, to review the four things, they were.
Codependency,
Yep.
dishonesty, lack of empathy, and then our last one was playing the victim.
Yep.
And if you look at those all kind of tend to have a funnel down into shame and trauma.
Yeah, losing your sense of self. And, so that's why, Tyler, that's why we do what we do. That's why we've built Reclaim Your Heart. That's why we do these retreats, because they help you tap into your power and help you understand who you are. And when you do that, then you can show up as a powerful human being in your relationships and not have these things going on. You can be honest. You can hold space for people. You can step into your power, and you can be healthily boundaried. All those things can happen when you know who you are.
Yeah. Good one, Brannon. If you're listening to this and you find this valuable, or you know somebody who would benefit from it, please share. We love having you guys here with us. And until next time, keep on keeping on.